Boker Tov, good morning. Starting out our Sunday of this long weekend, slowly, I hope, for many of us. Slightly different feel this morning, all of this lovely rain. Definitely has sort of a different sense to it than the sunny days, but equally beautiful, just in a different manner. Yeah. Just taking some time to be here. I appreciate you doing the same. Boker Tov, and good morning, and welcome to Sinai Streams, Temple Sinai's daily offering, our opportunity to say to one another, Boker Tov, and to take a few moments to connect, to reflect, and to remember. And here we are, starting a brand new week, this new week of these series of weeks that lead us up to Yamim Noraim. That's right, we've sort of descended to Tisha B'Av this past week, and now it's time for Aliyah. It's time for us to go up and to feel and to experience that we are in fact moving forward and upward together. And what better way to start that this morning than to join in a few of our prayers together. Let's join together first on this wonderful wet morning of joining together in Asher Yetzel, in the translation of this sense of gratitude for the way in which our bodies work. Blessed eternal God, creator of the universe, you have fashioned our bodies with wisdom, creating within us a finely balanced network. To stand before you in prayer is itself a fragile miracle. Eternal God, we praise you as the healer of body and spirit. And let's continue with these words of the soul. It is interesting, the translation that I did years ago, talking about Kol Zman Shanshama B'Kilbi. All time that my soul, all as long as my soul is within me, karov doesn't just mean kerev, inside, it also means near. And the idea that our soul is limited to staying within our physical self is actually an idea that's not necessarily the most common one in some of the spiritual writing of our people. Our body and our soul are attached, but that doesn't mean that they need to always occupy the same space, since a soul, not being physical, doesn't occupy space in the way that our body does. We'll have to spend more time talking about that another day, but in the meantime, let's join together in the translation of Elohai Neshama. The soul that you have given me, O God, is a pure one. You have created and formed it, breathed it into me. Within me, you sustain it. So long as my soul is within me, I will give thanks to you, eternal my God and God of my ancestors, source of all creation, sovereign of all souls. We praise you, eternal God, in whose hand is the power of all life and the spirit of all flesh. And now, so we can see translation and comment, let's join together in the Hebrew of our bracha for Talmud Torah, for Torah study. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Va'arevna Adonai Eloheinu, et divrei Toratcha b'finu, v'b'fi amcha beit Yisrael, v'niyeh anachnu v'tze'etze'enu, v'tze'etze'ei amcha beit Yisrael, Kulanu Yodeh Shemecha, V'lomdei Toratecha V'shma, Baruch Atah Adonai, Hamlamed Torah Le'amo Yisrael. And let's continue joining in these socially conscious words of Torah study, these words that urge us to take our principles and our ideas and to live them together with our community. Ele dvarim she'en lahem shiur. These are the obligations whose value cannot be measured. They nourish us in this world and help us to create the world to come. Kibud av va'em, to honor fathers and mothers. Ugmilut chasadim, to perform acts of love and kindness. Bashkamat bet midrash shacharit ve'arvit, to attend the house of study morning and evening. Bachnasat bochim, to welcome the stranger. Uvikur cholim, to visit the sick, Achnasat Kala, to provide for brides and grooms, Ulvayat Hamet, to keep faith with the dead, Viun Tfilah, to pray with sincerity, Vava'at Shalom Ben Adam Lachavero, to make peace when there is strife, the Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam, and the study of Torah is equal to them all. Now, as we take a moment to consider the power of Torah, the power of tradition, we join in additional words of tradition, this time from the book of Psalms. Today feels like the first day of a new week, an excellent day to express our gratitude. So in preparation for that, please join me on the white right side of the page in the preparatory words of Baruch She'amar. Baruch She'amar v'haya ha'olam. Blessed is the one who speaks that we might listen. Blessed is the one who acts that we might be witnesses. Baruch hu Baruch Shemo. Blessed is the one who decides that we might accept. Blessed is the one who has mercy that we might live. Baruch She'amar v'haya ha'olam. Blessed is the one who removes the darkness that we might see. Blessed is the one who lives forever that we might believe. Blessed is the one who saves and delivers that we might be redeemed. And now let's join together in Mizmor LeTodah, a song of gratitude, in ancient times recited over the Korban Todah, over the Thanksgiving sacrifice, but now a beautiful expression of our larger sense of gratitude. Let all the earth sing to the eternal, find joy in the service of the sacred. May every word lead to an encounter with the divine presence. May we sense the Holy One within us and in all creation, discover sacred purpose in every moment. The eternal is our infinitely capable creator. God forms our purpose and potential. Enter the gates with gratitude, bring praise and thanks, and bless the divine name. The divine love of the eternal allows us to find good in everything and strengthens the faith of each generation. Well, as we continue, let's join together with that sense of gratitude in the words of Shema, the words that remind us that among those things for which we can and should express our gratitude is our being part of something larger, is our being unified with the divine and with one another in a way that defies measurement, but is something that we can be palpably aware of as well. Let's take a moment. Let's feel that we might be by ourselves physically, and yet we are not alone. And join together in the words of Shema. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Ve'avta et Adonai Elohecha. Bechol levavecha ubechol nafshecha ubechol meodecha. V'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavcha hayom al levavecha. V'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam. V'shivtecha bevetecha uvelechtecha v'derech uv'shochpecha uv'kumecha. V'kshartam la'ot al yadecha. V'hayu letotafot b'neinecha וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם. ויעשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם, ונתנו על ציצית הכנף פתיל תכלת. והיה לכם לציצית וראיתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונים אחריהם. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Adonai Elohechem Emet. And having joined in our Shema and being aware that this is the beginning of a new week, the start of a new week, let's join together in our Havdalah prayer, our prayer of transition that is part of not just a home ceremony that may be done last evening, but rather that's part of our first Amidah of the new week. Feels meaningful to read it in Hebrew today and then read it in English. So let's take a moment to acknowledge the wonderful new week that's beginning and do that. Atacho nantanu lamadat tovatecha, vatlamdenu lasod chukei retzonecha, v'tabdel Adonai Eloheinu ben kodesh lechol, ben or lechoshech, ben Yisrael la'amim, ben yom hashvi'i l'sheshet yimei ha'maaseh. Adonai Elohai v'Elohei avotai v'imotai, achel aleinu hayamim haba'im likratenu l'shalom, menukim mikol avon u'medubakim b'yiratecha, ha'uchonen hada'at. You have graciously given us the chance to know your Torah and taught us to observe your laws. Eternal our God, you have allowed us to see the distinctions between holy and ordinary, between light and dark, between Israel and other nations, and between the seventh day and the 6 days of work. Eternal my God, God of my fathers and mothers, may the days to come bring peace, free of wrongdoing and filled with reverence. Blessed is the generous source of intelligence. And so now, having acknowledged the beginning of the new week, as I've indicated, is my current plan. We're going to continue through these number of weeks coming up, at least leading to the month of Elul, and then I'll decide if I keep doing the same thing with us and for us together in the month of Elul, to join together in focusing in a given week on 2 of the midot, of the personality characteristics or qualities that were taught to us by Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Satanov in his book Sefer Cheshbon HaNefesh, Spiritual Accounting. And so for this week, this middle week of the month of Menachem Av, I would like us to focus on these 2 characteristics, chosen not necessarily in the order they were first taught. 6th of the 13 characteristics, humility. Feel free to read these with me. Humility. Keep silent in order to learn from all those around you, acknowledging what is lacking in you and seeking to fix it. This way, you will learn to turn your mind away from your strengths or the defects of others. And number 2, which I happen to want to focus on today, sablanut, patience. When something bad happens to you that you could not have avoided by being careful, don't make it even worse through pointless sorrow. The idea of sablanut, I focused more on the meaning of the term itself, I believe, when I was teaching this characteristic originally. But the idea of patience is a very powerful idea. It includes 2 really challenging thoughts that are important for us to wrestle with, that we don't have to all in any way come to the same understanding of. It says, when something bad happens to you that you could not have avoided by being careful, don't make it even worse through pointless sorrow. It includes the idea of bad happening and of sorrow that is pointless, and therefore likewise sorrow that has a point. The idea of sablanut is rooted, as Rav Levine teaches it in his book, in a reminder, I apologize for saying it this way, I just think this is true, that patience and humility go together, because part of patience is remembering that whatever God is, it's not we. We are creatures of wonder and spirit, but also of a limit. There is a limit to what we know, a limit to our ability to make decisions that will turn out the way that we hoped they would, a limit to our ability to decide and control our environment. And so when we take, and so yes, we need to live a conscious life. We need to live an active life, and as we'll discuss further this week, a life of humility as well. But at the same time, things will happen. Our world, as Rav Levine teaches here, is a place in a scientific way, as he teaches it, of constant movement and change. Though our physical world looks static, we know from science, and he even quotes it in his writing, that it's not. That within the solidity of the physical things around us is a sense constantly of movement and change, and that the physical world is constantly moving, changing, evolving in meaningful but often in small ways. And that we live in a world where our experience, however we choose to imagine it, is one to some degree of randomness, and that things do happen. And so we certainly should work to avoid those negative things for those we love, for ourselves, and say, wow, what can I do to avoid unnecessary suffering for those I love and for those who I share my world and my society with? Yes, we need to do that. And at the same time, we need to acknowledge that there are limits to our ability to exert such understanding and control. And that once we analyze that we have done what we can and we come to a sense of sorrow, we can use that as a spur to some degree for learning. We always need to seek to say, how can I learn? What can I grow from my experiences? What can I learn? How can I grow is even better. But at the same time, we to punish ourselves, to look at ourselves and say, wow, I should not be here, is often unfair and prevents us from feeling and being whole, from moving forward in ways we need to, with a strong spirit and as our entire selves. And this quality of patience includes patience with ourselves, that we need if we know we are working hard and trying hard. We need likewise to be able to look ourselves in the eye, and say, I made the best choices I could. I didn't get them all right. And my responsibility now is to focus more on making the right next decision and less on trying to analyze how it is that I arrived in this often challenging place. It's really quite a challenging idea for all of us, but an important one. And I hope that this week can be a week of savlanut, a week where we do not make things even more difficult for ourselves than they may otherwise be, and that we empower ourselves to move forward. All of us need to, especially those of us who are experiencing illness. We need to move forward, including the reality of isolation. And we offer prayers likewise to give strength to those who take on difficult tasks that enable all of us to continue to progress and move forward. It's for all of them and any who you would wish to include in this prayer of healing that we turn to these words of refuah. משברך אבותינו אברהם יצחק ויעקב ואמותינו שרה רבקה לאה ורחל לא ירפא את כל מכותינו. יהי רצון מלפניך אדוני אלוהינו לחלימם ולרפאותם וישלח לנו מהרה רפואה שלמה ותרת שלום ונאמר amen. May the one who blessed our ancestors bless and heal all who suffer. May it be the divine will to provide healing and strength. Reveal to us the holiness of life, the wholeness of shalom, and together we say, amen. Well, as we join in those words, we likewise, having had the opportunity to connect and reflect, we also now take our time to remember, recalling those loved ones who died in recent days and weeks, those who died at this season and years past, and those whom we have taken into our hearts with our own. During the period of Shloshim, the past 30 days, we extend our condolences to the families of Alan Fridson, Rose Rich, Benji Fruitman, Judy Gabay, Helene Frankie Springer, Margot Grosbane, Rabbi Mark Shapiro, Janice Siegel. And it is our sad duty to report the death of our member, Edith Grossman, mother of George. Our condolences to her whole family. Graveside funeral will take place Tuesday, the 4th, at the Temple Sinai section of Pardes Shalom. On your site, on the anniversaries of their deaths, we remember Murray Chusid, Murray Cornish, Nathan Feldman, Annie Foreman, Max Freifeld, Anne Goldman, Hannah Kroll, Lolita Peretz Kupat, Carolyn Rebzin, Vincent Rice, Beatrice Robbins, Francis Silverberg, Samuel Weinberg. Zichronam Levracha, may their memories be a blessing to us. Our griefs and our sympathies are mingled, as together we turn to words sanctified by memory, words glorified by hope in the Kaddish Yatom. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, ועלמא דברך ירותיה וימליך מלכותיה, וחיי חון וביום אחד, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהא שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם וינשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו. לאלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהא שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and bring comfort and strength to all who remember. And together we say, amen. A little different lighting today, because a little different lighting outside, but it is in fact a very wonderful day, a day where all of us can take a moment and have patience, have sablanut with ourselves as we move forward and make this a wonderful week and a good day. Boker.